Chapter 10. Og's frantic efforts to lick her tears away made Polly laugh, and she wiped her hands across her eyes. "Oh, Og, am I ever glad to see you? How did you get here?" Perhaps Honorel or Tav or Corrales had brought Og most of the way in a canoe. There was no way of guessing. She was just warmly grateful that the dog was with her. She looked at the icon of the angel and the child. Undoubtedly, Tynak had never seen a painted picture before. If she had a camera with her, one of those instant ones, and took his picture, that would surely convince him of her power. But she didn't have a camera. All growled slightly, and she looked up to see Zachary in his elegant hiking outfit, incongruous in this ancient village devastated by drought. "Polly, sweet, are you okay?" She looked at Zachary, at his pale face, his darkly shadowed eyes. You kidnapped me. He put his hand against one of the poles that supported the lean-to. "Polly, don't you understand? I needed you. I needed you terribly. Why didn't you just ask me?" He dropped down to sit beside her on the fern pallets. "I didn't think you'd come, but you didn't even try. You let that man kidnap me." "Oh, sweet Paul, don't call it that. They made it very clear to me that the healer wouldn't come near me if I didn't bring the goddess to them. You know I'm no goddess. They don't." "Zachary," she looked straight at him, "you do understand that Tynak is planning to sacrifice me in order to get rain?" No, he'd never go that far." But suddenly Zachary looked very uncomfortable. "You're a goddess. He just wanted to have you here because you have power." He looked at Og. "And you do, don't you? Don't you? The dog has come to you, and Tynak would think that was terrific power, wouldn't he?" He was talking too much, too fast. "Zachary, would you let Tynak sacrifice me?" Never, Polly." He looked at her pleadingly. "Polly, I want their healer to help me. At this price? There isn't any price. Is it there? My life for yours?" No. Tynak thinks you're a goddess." Zachary ran his fingers through his dark hair. "Listen, Polly, this Tynak made it clear to me that the healer wouldn't touch me unless you..." "Okay, that's the problem. I couldn't understand what he wanted. Can you understand him?" "A little." "You're angry with me. Why wouldn't I be?" "Polly, you have my icon. You do care about me. Tynak said the healer would help me if you came here. You're a goddess. Don't you understand?" She shook her head, looked at him. He was tragic and handsome, but she had a sinking feeling that he would do anything to get what he wanted. A big thing this time, life. "Don't you want me to live?" He was pleading. "At my expense?" "Polly, stop exaggerating." "Am I?" Zachary stood up. "Polly, I wanted to talk to you, but I can't see there's no point while you're being unreasonable. I'm going back to Tynak. I'm staying in his tent. And in case you're interested, there are skeleton poles in his tent." His voice was tight and defensive. "You've brought me back in time to this place where the people are hardly more than savages. I think you should feel a certain sense of responsibility. If they're savages, why do you have so much faith that their healer can help your heart?" she asked. "Ah, Polly, I can't stand to have you mad at me. I thought we were friends." "Friends?" She was not sure what a friend was. She thought of her conversation with Honorel about friendship, about how friends cared for and tried to protect one another. Friendship was a two-way street. She wished Zachary would go away and leave her alone. She put the icon back in her pocket, the icon Zachary had given her because his grandmother believed in angels. Bishop Kalubra, too, believed in angels. If the bishop could believe in angels, so could she. Not in the angel painted in the icon, but in real powers of love and care. The icon was not a thing in itself, but an affirmation. For Tynak, it was a thing in itself. "Have you seen the healer today?" she asked Zachary. "Seen him and spoken, if you can call it that, with him. He's very old, older than Tynak. He has long, skinny arms and enormous, strong-looking hands. Listen, Polly, you will help me, won't you? You will?" He was frantic, out of his mind with terror. She knew that. But she also knew that his Denials that Tynak was going to use her as a sacrifice were hollow. She felt a deep pain in her chest. See you, Zachary tried to sound casual, turned away from her and left. The sun was well above the horizon and slanted warmly against the lean-to. It was going to be a warm autumn day. Indian summer? She slid out of the anorak. Taff had said that nothing would happen until the full moon. Day after tomorrow, she thought. Many things could change between now and then. She left the lean-to and walked across the compound, Og by her side. People looked at her curiously, cautiously, even fearfully, but no one spoke to her. She felt as though her red hair were on fire. There were many surreptitious glances at Og. These people were not used to dogs, at least not to domestic dogs. Perhaps they thought Og was part of her magic. Perhaps that was why Og had been sent across the lake to her. Og was protection, the bishop had said. She needed his protection. The sun beat down with a sulphurous glare. It was hot, actually hot, but a strange heat. The sky was yellowish rather than blue, and her one hope at this moment was that this odd weather meant a storm was coming, and rain. Whenever she approached a group of people, conversation stopped. Og nudged her, pushing her gently in the direction of the lean-to, so she went back. At noon, when the sun was high, Joe brought her a bowl of broth and some heavy bread, but did not stay. Polly ate and lay down on the pallet, hands behind her head, staring up at the skins of the roof, trying to think, but her thoughts would not focus. She rolled up the anorak to make a pillow and raised her head so she could see out of the lean-to, across the compound and to the lake. Zachary had said that there were skulls in Tynak's tent, but the Stone Age people were savages. But were the people of her own time any less savage? Within her grandparents' memories, Jews and Gypsies and anyone who was thought to be a danger to Aryan supremacy were put in concentration camps, gassed, made into soap, used for medical experimentation. At more or less the same time in her own country, Japanese people who were American citizens were rounded up and put into America's own version of concentration camps. Surely they were not as brutal as the German ones, but they were as savage as anything on either side of the lake. She thought that a Bishop Kalubra lying on the great capstone and praying, and she closed her eyes and tried to let her mind go empty so that she could be part of his prayer. He and Corrales knew that she and Zachary were here. They had sent Og to her. She hoped that they were praying for her. She knew that they cared, that they would never abandon her. Tav would rescue her. But there was still an aching hurt in her heart. In the late afternoon, thunder rumbled from the mountains across the lake, and lightning flashed. The clouds came down in a curtain, but across the lake, not on Tynak's side. It looked to Polly as though the people of the wind were getting a good shower. The smell of rain was in the air, and there was a summer smell. The air continued to be hot and heavy. Tynak came to her again. She sat on the anorak to protect the icon. Og sat beside her. Tynak pointed to the dog and looked at her questioningly. Animal? He's a dog. Dog. Where it comes from? He belongs across the lake. We think he came across the ocean with Corrales, the druid, the leader. Tynak pointed to the storm that still played across the lake. Power. You have power. Make rain. Polly shook her head. Earth must have rain. Blood, then rain. A lamb? Polly suggested. Not strong enough blood. Not enough power. Only Polly had enough power for a successful sacrifice. A sacrifice must be unblemished. Tynak was afraid of Polly's power. He had considered the possibility of sacrificing Zachary, he told Polly, but Zachary might not provide enough power to appease the anger of the gods and bring rain to this side of the lake and return Clep to his people. You promised to help Zachary's heart, Polly tried to remind him, pressing her hand against her heart. Tynak shrugged. You promised Zach that if he brought me to you, your healer would help his heart, she persisted. Do you not have honor? Do you not keep your word? Honor. Tynak nodded thoughtfully. Try. He left her. She stared after him, wondering if the healer indeed had enough of the gift of healing to give new life to a badly damaged heart. Joe brought her another bowl of stew in the early evening. Polly ate it and sat listening. The wind moved in the branches of the oak behind her, sultry, too hot for this time of year. The village was quiet. Tynak had left her unguarded, probably because there was no place for her to go. The forest menaced behind her. The lake was in front of her. The water rippled softly. The wind seemed to call her, to beckon. She was not sure what the wind was trying to tell her. The moon rose, close to full, so close to full. The village settled down for the night. Fires were extinguished or banked. There was no sound except for the stirring of the wind in the trees, ruffling the surface of the lake. The village was asleep. Og rose, nudged her, went to the edge of the lean-to, looked at Polly, tail barely moving, waiting. Then he went to the edge of the lake, put one paw in, looked back at her, put his paw in the water again, looked back, wagging his tail. Finally, she understood that he wanted her to go into the lake, to swim. She slipped out of her shoes and socks, jeans, sweatshirt, and left the lean-to in cotton bra and underpants. Og then led her along the lakeside, farther and farther away from the tents. There was no sound from the village. Sleep lay heavy over the compound. The snow and the mountains across the lake were luminous with moonlight. Polly followed Og, trying to be quiet. She could not move silently like Tav and Anaral. Twigs cracked under her feet. Vines caught at her. Now there was no more beach. The forest went right down to the water's edge. She tried not to brush against branches, tried not to cry out when twigs or stones hurt her bare feet. Finally, Og slid into the water, again looking back at Polly to make sure she was following him. She walked into the lake, trying not to splash. She slipped into the water when she was knee-deep. Og swam steadily. The water was cold, bitter cold. On the surface, it had been warmed by the unusual heat of the day, but underneath it was cold, far colder than her grandparents' pool. The brazen sun had warmed it just enough so that it was bearable. She followed Og, swimming strongly but not frantically. She had to swim steadily enough so she would not get hypothermia, but not so hurriedly that she would tire before she got across the lake. The water was quiet, cold, cold. She swam, following Og, who moved at an even pace so she could keep up with him without straining. But as they swam, her body felt colder and colder, and her skin prickled with goosebumps. She trusted Og. He would not have led her into the lake if they weren't going to be able to make it to the other side. She had swum all her life. She could swim forever if she had to. They swam. Polly's arms and legs moved almost automatically. How long? How far was it? Now, even in the light of the moon, she could not see Tynak's village, which she had left behind her, nor could she see across the lake, except for the snow-capped mountains. She felt her breath coming and gasped, rasping in her throat. She was not going to make it. She tried to look for land ahead of her, but her eyes were dazzled with exhaustion, and all she saw was the flickering darkness. She went under, gulped water, pushed back up. Og looked over his shoulder, but swam on. Her breathing was like razor blades in her chest. She tried to call, Og! But no sound came out of her throat. Her legs dropped. She could not go on. And her feet touched the rocky bottom. Og was scrambling onto the shore, barking, and Tav was rushing across the beach to greet her. He splashed into the water, followed by Corrales and Anaral. The bishop hurried to meet them, bearing a fur robe. Anaral took it from him and wrapped Polly's wet body in warmth. She was in Tav's strong arms. He carried her into Corrales' tent. She was safe. A bright fire was built in a circle of stones in the center in the center of the tent. The smoke hole had been opened, and blue tendrils of smoke rose up and out into the night. Honorable brought Polly something hot to drink, and it warmed the cold which had eaten deep into her marrow. "Did you have rain this afternoon?" she asked. "Yes, rain came," Corella said. Polly sipped at the warm, comforting drink. She was still shivering with cold, and Honorable brought another fur rug to wrap around her legs. Bishop Kalupra reached out to touch her wet head. She was so exhausted that she lay down, wrapped in the warm fur, and fell into a deep sleep. Whether it was strain from the swim or from something in the warm drink, she moved immediately into dreaming. In her sleep, she was the center of a bright web of lines joining the stars and yet reaching to the earth, from her grandparents' home to the star-watching rock, to the low hills, to the snow-capped mountains, lines of light touching Bishop Calibra and Corrales, Tav and Cub, Honorel and Clep, and all the lines touched her and warmed her. Lines of power, benign power. Then the dream shifted, became nightmare. The lines were those of a spiderweb, and in the center, Zachary was trapped like a fly. He was struggling convulsively and ineffectually, and the spider threw more threads to tie him down. Zachary screamed as the spider approached, cut across her dream. She woke up with a jerk. "Are you all right?" Honorel asked anxiously. "You need more sleep," Tav said. She shook her head. "I'm okay." Blessed child, the bishop's voice was caressing. We know about Zachary's abducting you. Can you tell us more?" Well, she was still chilled to the marrow. "I don't think I can leave Zachary there." It was not at all what she had expected to say. "Polly," Bishop Calibra spoke gently but commandingly. "Tell us." Briefly, she reviewed her attempted conversations with Tynak with Zachary. When she had finished, Tav leaped to his feet in rage. "So the Zach took you to save his own life." "Heart," she corrected. "He was willing to have you die so he could live," Honorel said. Polly shook her head. "It isn't that simple. I don't think he admitted to himself what he was doing." "Why are you defending him?" Tav shouted. "I don't know. I just know it isn't that simple." "But hadn't she accused Zachary of the same thing? I think I have to go back." "No, it will not be allowed," Tav expostulated. "You are here, safe. Stay," Honorel urged. "Why do you have to go back, Polly?" the bishop asked. Her reasons sounded inadequate, even to herself, but a vision of Zachary trapped in the web kept flicking across her inner eye. "My clothes are there. Zachary's icon is in my anorak pocket, and Tynak thinks it is great power. He tried to take it from me once, but I hope he's afraid of it now. And if I don't go back, I don't know what will happen to Zachary." She shook her head as though to clear it. "I really don't know why I have to go back. I just know I have to." Tav pounded with the butt of his spear against the hard ground of the tent. "What happens to this Zach does not matter. It is you. You matter. I care about you." "I can't make rain for them, Tav," she said. "And if there isn't rain, they will attack you again. You said that yourself." She wanted to stretch out her arms to him, to have him take her hands, draw her to him, but this was no time for such irrational longings. "Corrales," she started, but Corrales was not there. "He has gone to the Standing Stones," the bishop told her. "Didn't you see him leave? He gestured for Og to stay here in the tent, and then he went out." "But he will come back?" Polly asked anxiously. "He will come back," Honorel assured her. "It is a place of power. He needs to be there." Polly bit her lip, thinking, if Tynak believes I have goddess-like powers, he'll hold off. The icon has a terrific effect on him, Bishop. What else have I got? She thought. "Well, there's a flashlight in the anorak pocket, one of those tiny ones with a very strong light, and a pair of scissors, and a little notebook and a pen, and some other stuff. Tynak will never have seen any of those before." "Notebook and pen?" Honorel asked. Like bishops to write with?" "Yes. Corrales is the only one I know who can write, and he writes only on rock or wood. And his real wisdom is not written. It is kept here." She touched first her forehead, then her heart. "What do I have to give you?" "Oh, look! Bishop gave me this after I cut my finger." She reached into a small pouch at her side and brought out a gold pocket knife. "It would not be much good for skinning a deer, but it is quite sharp. And I have another one of these. And she gave Polly a band-aid. "Stop!" Tav shouted. "No! Polly is not to go back. Tav, I have to. You swam. How far you swam? Not many people could swim across the lake all that way, even in summer. You are here. We will not let you go. I have to." She sounded her most stubborn. "Polly," the bishop said, "you have not yet given us a real reason. I can't just leave Zachary there to be slaughtered." "Why not?" Tav demanded. "I can't. If Tynak thinks I'm a goddess, maybe I can stop him." Tav shook his head. They will sacrifice you. No, Polly said. To them, I am a goddess. She wished she was as certain as she sounded. The bishop's face twisted as though from pain. Polly is right. She can't leave Zachary to be a meaningless sacrifice. No matter what he has or has not done, that is not what Polly does. No! Tav cried. Corrales returned, pushing aside the tent flap. Bishop Heron is right. Polly is right. We cannot let the young man be sacrificed. It will not bring rain, and we would have sold the life and gained nothing. Polly's life, Tav said. It is never expedient that one man should die for the sake of the country, the bishop said. We will gather all our warriors together, Tav started. They are many more than we are, Corrales pointed out. I won't have people fighting over me. People would get hurt or killed. It wouldn't do any good, Tav. You mustn't even think of it. You had rain here today. Maybe there'll be another storm, one across the lake. That's what we need. Corrales said, because of the position of the mountains and the currents of wind, we have rain here far more often than across the lake. But it is possible that rain will come, not just a storm, but a rain all over the lake and shores. Yes, Polly agreed. Rain, not fighting, rain. Corrales looked at her thoughtfully. I lay on the capstone and listen. The stars are quiet tonight. I hear only that Zachary is to be saved. I don't understand. Tav's voice was savage. Nor I, Corrales replied. I know only what I hear. Polly asked, You consult with the stars? Corrales frowned. Consult? No, I listen. For advice? No, not so much for advice as for, he paused. Direction? The bishop suggested. No, in the stars are lines of pattern, and those lines touch us as our lines touch each other. The stars do not foretell, because what has not happened must be free to happen as it will. I look and listen and try to understand the pattern. The bishop nodded. The story is not foretold. The future must not be coerced. That is right. Corrales looked at Polly gravely. If you're going to return to Zachary, it is time. Tav turned to the bishop. You would send Polly back? There is no wood, the bishop said. Polly looked at him, nodding. It is what I am going to do, Tav said. Then I will take you in my canoe. Honorel said, You will need something warm to wear. I will give you my winter tunic. Thanks, Polly said. I'll need it. I go with you, Tav, Honorel continued. I have talked much with Clep, hoping to find a way to rescue Polly. He has told me of a small island not far from the village, hidden by the curve of the land. From there, it is only a short paddle. Clep! Polly had almost forgotten the young man with a broken femur. Is he better? Corrales smiled. He is better. His fever is gone. The broken flesh is healing cleanly, but it will be weeks before he can walk. Perhaps Polly should talk with him, Honorel suggested, before she goes back to his tribe. Corrales nodded in approval. Yes, that would be good. Tav, can you and Cub bring him? Can't I go to him? Polly asked. Wouldn't that be easier? Won't it hurt him to be moved? Tav and Cub will be careful. The fewer people know you are here, the better. Tav was already gone. Honorel detached the leather pouch from her waistband and removed a handful of small stones, dropped them on the ground at her feet, and looked at them where they lay. If we lose one, we lose all. Her voice was soft. Bent down to touch another stone. If we save one, all things are possible. Touched another. The stars will guide. Trust them. And another. The lines between the stars are reflected in the lines between the sacred places and in the lines that cross time to join people. She looked up, blinking, as though waking from a dream. Corrales smiled at her. The stones are well read. Honorel smiled back. They read true. Annie, dear, the bishop looked at her searchingly. These are not fortune-telling stones? No, Corrales said quickly. The stones do not tell us what is going to happen or what we are to do any more than the stars. They speak to us only of our present position in the great pattern, where we are now, here. Sometimes it helps us to see the pattern more clearly. That is all. This worries you, Heron? No, the bishop said. I trust you, Corrales. You and Annie. Polly said, some kids in my school got really involved in fortune-telling and the future and stuff, and my parents take a very dim view of that kind of thing. I too, Corrales said. Only Honorel reads stones, that they may not be misused. They broke off as Tab and Cub came into the tent, bearing Clep between them, his broken legs stretched motionless between two oaken staves. Gently they set him down before the fire, which still burned brightly, illuminating the interior of the tent. When he saw Polly, he smiled in relief. "You are all right?" Clep asked. She smiled back. "Now that I'm thawed, I'm fine. You swam the whole way?" "I grew up on islands," Polly said. "I swam all my life." "Even so," Clep said, "it is a long way." Polly grimaced. Don't I know? I thought I wasn't going to make it. And you are going back?" She squatted beside him. "Clep, tell me, if I don't go back, what will happen to Zachary?" He in turn asked, "We had no rain today on my side of the lake?" "No, not a drop." He made an unhappy grunt. "There will have to be a sacrifice." "Zachary?" "Yes. But they will wait until the full moon?" "Yes. 2 nights from now," Corella said. "Polly, I will go with you. If you need help, send him. Like you, he swims like a fish. However, Polly, know that we are with you. The lines between the stars and between us are like telegraph lines," Bishop Kaluba supplied. "This won't mean anything to you, Corellis, but in our time we can send words across lines." "Fact is," Polly suggested, if you will keep your heart open to us, Polly, the lines too will be open." Corellis! The bishop pulled himself up, waving his arms. I have just had a thought." He looked around the tent, letting his gaze rest on Clep, then returned to Corellis. "You don't want to keep Clep here as a prisoner of war or a slave or anything like that, do you?" "No, he is free to go as soon as he is healed. If he is well enough for Tav and Cub to have brought him here, he is well enough to be put in the canoe with Polly. Let us send him back with her. Then she will be the goddess who has rescued Clep." Clep burst into delighted laughter. "That is splendid! But how strange! I do not want to go." He looked at Honorel, and she returned his gaze steadily, and the line of love between the two of them was almost visible. "But you will go," Corella said. "What Bishop Heron has thought of is perfect. And if you, Clep, are to be the next leader of your tribe, the sooner you return, the better." "I am very young," Clep reminded Polly of her brother, next in age to her, Charles, with his wisdom, unusual for his age, and his lovingness. "Your old one still has years to live," Corellis assured him. "We will send 2 canoes. Polly is too tired to go alone with Clep. Tav, you will paddle Polly and Clep. Cub, you will go with Honorel. When the canoe is near enough shore for Polly to bring it in, you, Tav, will join Honorel and Cub. We must hurry," Clep said, "to be there before dawn." It all happened so quickly that Polly barely had time to think, only to accept that the bishop's plan was the best possible under the circumstances. She was given a warm sheepskin tunic to wear, which she put on gratefully. Clep was placed in the bottom of one of the canoes. Polly sat in the bow, with all curled at her feet. Tav took the stern. Honorel and Cub got into a slightly smaller canoe. They pushed out into the dark water. Polly turned once to wave to the bishop and Corellis. Then she turned her face toward the dark horizon.